All right, we are hit the record button and welcome everybody. And thank you so much for being here. It always makes me laugh how teachers are summer's off, work 9 to 3. It's 7 o'clock for some of us, midnight for some of us, and yet here we are, always looking to perfect our craft. You are here, hopefully, for information on what small groups look like in a structured literacy classroom. It came together between myself and Kata Solo and Donna Height-Manick. Kata is with the Goyen Foundation. She's going to introduce herself in a second. And Donna Height-Manick is coming, and I will have her pop in and introduce herself. But I think everybody knows who she is. But we're going to make her do it anyway. But Kata, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Virginia. Super excited that we get to do this with Donna and Virginia tonight. I'm the executive director of the Goyen Foundation, which is a small family foundation that's devoted to improving young child literacy across the country. And this is our first public professional learning opportunity, and hopefully it's going to be our first of many. Our big thing is we run a fellowship program for expert literacy teachers, for the best reading teachers in the country, many of whom are on this Zoom, and Virginia happens to be one of them. And some of our fellows in the past have called the fellowship, one of the best forms of professional learning that they've ever done, and we're really excited to bring that model to a broader audience. At the foundation, right, we're all about teacher voice, and so tonight, I'm gonna stop talking in a minute, but everything here tonight is going to be prepared by Virginia and ultimately, hopefully, in future times by other teachers for other teachers. And my hope is that tonight and in future meetings, you're going to get some really like on the ground, hands-on, teacher-driven, highly practical tools, tips, strategies, moves, ideas, things you can implement in your classroom tomorrow. Not a lot of theory is going to be, it's not going to be very theoretical. It's just going to be a lot of stuff great teachers do to get kids reading. So super excited to get to work with Virginia, and I'll stop talking and kick it back to you. And thank you so much for everyone for coming out.
Don't ever stop talking. So as you know, you're here for small groups, and the second thing I'll say after the first thing I say is, as I'm going through the videos, if you have any questions, type them in the chat. Kata is my Tonto tonight, or my Robin. Which would you rather be? Take your pick.
Robin. I'm too
Robin.
young.
Excellent choice.
Young for Tonto. I'm gonna make an age joke now.
She'll keep an eye on the chat, and I really want to make sure that you leave here with what you needed. And if there's something that I didn't cover, I'm happy to avail myself later tonight or at another date. But please make sure that you feel like you are informing yourself with what you needed. Okay, so don't hesitate to, take me off track if you have a question. It's really it's your hour to make sure that you get what's going to best help you and your students. So structured literacy, the learning is whole group. Everything that we teach our kids is whole group. I will probably quote Anita Archer several times tonight. She's my hero, but everybody gets everything. And when they're learning to read, everybody learns to read the same way, so they all need it. So instruction is whole group, and small group is just to really target what kids might need a little bit more of. There is an intensity component, but the intensity is more, the intensity means that it's more practice, not that it's more learning. Did that make any sense? Good. Okay. If you are still in a balanced literacy environment, essentially this is the difference between a structured literacy small group and what we've been doing forever and ever and ever with the guided reading group. And if I were to boil it down to one word, the big difference is it's based on skill, and it's grouped by skill and what they need, as opposed to a made up level. I meant to put this slide first. Very quickly about me, I am a group moderator and I'm a moderator and a group expert on Donna's What I Should Have Learned in Facebook page. And that has been a incredible learning experience for me because myself and all the moderators were responsible for reading the posts and approving the posts. And every time I read, I'm learning something new. So my learning is just nonstop every single day. I am Orton Gillingham certified. I will be letters trained at the end of this school year. I'm a teacher trainer. I train both virtually and in person. So if there's anything your district needs, reach out to me. But mostly I am a first grade teacher and I am here because I'm still a practitioner. And if I can't do it, and if I can't try it in my classroom, I feel like I can't really speak to it. So you are honestly and truthfully going to walk into my classroom with me today. And this is me in my room with my kids. And I did it today. I was there today. Did a couple of small groups today too. Just didn't record them. When it comes to small group, that first arrow is pointing to data driven. It's the data that decides who gets me or who I sit with. And like full disclosure, I'm going to be totally honest. I am not that binder teacher with the colored tabs. I don't lesson plan my small groups. My biggest data point is my eyes and what I just witnessed during whole group instruction. And then I grab those kids and I give them a little bit more of what I thought they were struggling with. But that is data. But I also use screeners. I sure do. And I use my Friday project monitoring, but mostly I just, we know our kids. We do. We sure do. So when it comes to reading, I've always looked at reading instruction. It's like a stone pathway, right? And everybody has to take the same pathway. But in our classroom, not every child is on the same step or on the same stone. So in small group, it's the stone that determines what the instruction is going to be. But they all have to get there in the same way. So all that being said, that's my quick introduction to everything. Questions so far? Nada? That means I'm doing a great job.
Virginia, there is a good comment in the chat that
Great.
maybe we'll get to later from Jean about how a lot of folks like Stephanie Stoller and even her school in South Dakota are doing phonics instruction in small groups only versus full group. I know that's like a very lively topic.
Lively is the word. Yes, and that is a big thing, but and that doesn't make Stephanie Stoller is, you know, she's up here and she's cutting edge and she's got all the latest research. What I'm doing is based on UFly. So I do my UFly whole group and then I do my practice in smaller groups. So I think there's room for everybody in it. Right?
Yeah, I think Lindsay's comment, both ways can work if done well, is spot on. And I'm always like very curious in how folks like Jean are able to pull that off. Small.
And you know, the thing is, we talked about this yesterday. It doesn't mean it's not what I do next year, right? It is such an evolution, and that's the whole thing with science. It changes with knowledge and research. But right now, today, this is how I do. I do.
Did you do it? Yeah. Or did Troy? I did.
Okay. Before we get to small groups, I can see your thought bubbles are going, but what is everybody else doing? That is always like the biggest question. What is everybody else doing? So I will not belabor this, but I will show you what is going on outside of my small groups. And I've been doing this for 18 years, and the hill that I am willing to die on as a teacher is centers. I love them. But without the routines, there is no instruction. Kate, I remembered. I said that last night. I was like, that's good. Remind me to use that. Without routines, there can be no instruction. And as you all do, we take a lot of time establishing the routines, and it is the best money that you can spend on your career, or it's the best time that you can spend when the school year starts. It will pay off in spades for the rest of the year. So I'll show you what my routines are like. The slide says it all. And one of the things that I say to myself as a teacher is, if they can do it, why should I? Right? If they can have a success of putting themselves into a center or helping a friend, they need to know as much success as they can. So I want to give them all the success, and I want to be an observer of them as much as I can. So any job that I can give them, I will give them. Here's an example. So this is just the kids. This is them putting themselves into the center. I'm only here now because I'm recording, and you'll see they all look at the camera like, she's recording. So it looks very unnatural. It's just because the camera's on.
Then find the birthday girl. Birthday girl. Luna, Caitlin, Isake, and Flumi. Find Luna.
So these are the cards you'll see in a second that they're going to hang up after they pick their center. But they are so robotic that they know they have to step off the carpet, because if they stay on the carpet, it will get very noisy. I spend the first 2 weeks going over these routines with them. And when I tell you I'm not involved, like I've either started my small group or I'm getting some stuff together. So now this is them picking their center.
And Caitlin, where are you going? Caitlin, pick the next kid.
Looking in the camera. So whoever just went will always pick the next kid. It just keeps everything flowing. So again, independence is key. And when they are in centers, like I've seen so often where people wear like a boa or like a plastic fire truck hat, like meaning if I'm working with a small group and you see this hat, that means I'm off limits. This is just me. I feel like if I'm still wearing that hat, they still see me as a viable option for help. I've had to set it up such that they just can't see me as an option for help with centers. That doesn't mean if they're sick, they can't ask for the nurse. It's literally just talking about centers. So this right here is my meat and potatoes for centers. And it's one way that it's just one more tool that keeps them independent. And on this centers board, right here on the right or the left, I can never figure out if it's how you're looking at it. On the left, it's what the activities are. Right here in the middle, I'll show you in 1 second. And here's just where they hung up their cards. And it closes after 2 kids, so they know that if there's 2 kids there, they can't pick that center. They have to move on to another center. And this is the most important part of my centers board. The card says, I don't know if you can, I hope you can see it closely enough, but it says, ask me, and it names the centers. And then next to that center is a child's name. So for instance, if a kid is in a word center and they don't know what to do, they know exactly who to go ask. And I have sat with those kids to make sure that they know exactly what the task is when they're in their center. So if I don't have this and then, like I said, on every center, on the center board will be displayed what the job is in each center. If they're not that independent, I cannot work with the other kids because they would just, I teach first, so they're 6 and 7, but they really genuinely just take, they just work together and they help each other out, and they're very, very proud of it. The old, if I can do it, if they can do it, why should I? So,
Virginia, Question, how long does it take for the kids to get settled and get to work?
Um, immediate.
Like seconds.
Yeah, so they hang up their card and then there's a bucket with the activities and they just take the bucket. And
Wow.
and each table, they know exactly what the center is. And you'll notice in the background, there's one table and the kids are always on their computer. That's because that's where they go if they're going to the listening center.
And one more question,
Yep.
before we let you move on.
But no, I want questions.
I'm curious, we're curious about, Sarah in the chat is curious about intervention. So we're talking about tier 1 here, but for kids who are getting tier 2 or tier 3 interventions, how does that work? Are they getting this similar, like sort of like, are they getting a double dose U-Fly?
My small group is essentially a double dose of U-Fly. I use the same word lists. My husband's calling me. Sorry. Oh, but the tier 3 intervention is outside of the room and I think they use STARS for that. So they don't use the same curriculum for their tier 3. But I do. Because it's where we are in the scope and sequence. So I try not to deviate too much with the scope and sequence.
And then just one more question, are the kids, when the kids are in centers, are they moving from activity to activity, or are the activities moving to the children?
For the center, I do 2 centers a day and they last about 15 minutes. And so let's just stick with the writing center. So they take that bucket to the writing center and they go to the table that's designated for the writing center. And then we transition and they take the bucket and they put it back for the next group of kids. And that little guy that was handing out the cards, whoever the student of the day is, that whole process would start all over again. But I do 2. Okay. So in centers, there's no new learning. It's whatever we've already worked on. And then it's just reinforcement, it's just practice. So I don't have to worry that it's going to be over their head. I know that they can already handle this. It's just another hit of what we've been learning. I do have, so all of the bottom of the rope, all of the word recognition is just more practice. I do sort of touch on the language comprehension with some centers. Like I have a content center, but my content is all nonfiction, science and social studies that I pull myself. So for instance, I just started penguins today, and the content center is a National Geographic video of penguins. So that's more for exposure. And the foundational piece is application. They're applying what we've just learned. Here's what some of my centers are, but it is fluid. I actually, even this week, my kids are struggling with math, so I now threw a math center in. So it's not even necessarily literacy centers. I look at what they really, really need. The listening, Kata, do you have the listening center? Kata is going to share in the comments. There is a listening center that has a bilingual option. And I usually have a pretty heavy MLL population, so nothing brings them more pleasure than to be able to have listen to a book in their native language. So just very quickly, I'll show you what the centers look like. So there might be a STEM center where they go and they build something, but I tried to connect that to content. So clearly at this time of the year, we were learning about birds, so they build a nest. I have a reading center, but this is not necessarily a read to self center. If you can't read, you can't read independently. If we put non-readers in a reading center, I really refer to that as a turn the page when I think it's time to turn the page center. It's not the best use of their time. But as the year progresses and the kids do begin to read, I try to partner them up with a child who might be able to help a child who's still struggling a little bit. But there's never an expectation that a non-reader is in a reading center. If you don't know, go ahead. Oh, if you don't know WordWall, you're welcome. It is a fantastic resource. And I'm not going to show you all the centers what they're doing, but this one is just so adorable. I can't help myself.
Wait, pay, yeah, pay. No, oh yeah, pay. We almost did it.
WordWall is self-correcting, so I try not to have, I try to really limit the digital when it comes to centers, but I really like the WordWall because it is, like I said, it's self-correcting. And if you just type in WordWall community and wherever you are in your, so WordWall community diagraphs, it's all teachers like us who have made interactive games. And Kata, I sent you that too, if you want to share the WordWall.
It's in the chat. We do have one question, which I think is pretty, which is probably worth addressing before we move forward. What benefits, Virginia, do you see in doing these activities in centers versus doing them in whole group?
It's so that it keeps them independent so that I could do small group.
Yeah, so the idea is, right, that otherwise you would not really have any opportunity to
Right.
do any sort of like tier two work, right?
Right. Yeah, most of my day is whole group.
Yeah, and I
All
wanted
the
to
learning is
yeah.
whole group, but this is just, and I try to make sure that it is not just time fillers, but it's actually aligned with the scope and sequence. And another thing that I say in my own head over and over again is this the best use of their time? And if there's an activity that I find is not the best use of their time, then I don't use it.
And to clarify, it's you spend about 30, this is a 30-minute a day
Mm-hmm.
rotation. This is, yeah. So it's two 15-minute centers for kids who are not working one-on-one or in small groups with you.
Right. Right. And some are, right? So one of the other centers is me. And that's actually, there's a little card with my picture, but of course it's a good picture because I chose it. So I made sure it was a good one. And when it comes to small group, and this is different also from guided reading groups, is those who need me the most get me the most. I don't, the days of, I have a rotation where I see every single kid for the same amount of time in a group within a week. That is not what I do. I tap into the kids that need the most intensive instruction from me and with me. And it also gives me an opportunity to really have eyes on them. So not everybody will get me in a small group within a week or within a couple of weeks, but there are kids who will absolutely get me every day. To go back to the routines, I also have to have the routine of my small group just as tight for that to work as well. And, you know, one of the things that I struggled with at first is the kids knew right away who was coming to small group because I put their card up on that center board and they'd just be waiting for me. And we all know what happens when first graders have time on their hands. So then I actually made this, and if anybody wants it, I'm happy to share it. But this is for my pre-alphabetic kids. This is what they do while they wait for me. Oh, sorry. Show me. Oh, nice, Kato. I have some kids. I have sand trays, and they just call heart words to each other. All independent. Everything is independent.
Wood.
And there's a couple of different things, and they can pick whatever they want while they wait for me, but they really have to stay busy, and it really is all related to foundational. All right, here we go. Buckle up. Are we ready for small groups? all of my small groups starts with a very quick hit of phonemic awareness. And by quick hit, I mean like seconds. And the kids and I refer to as like getting the neurons popping. And they also just enjoy it. All right, you ready for some chopping?
Yeah.
Great. Travers up. Travers down. First word, boy. You wanted to make that extra sound. Travers up. You know they were dying to say boy, yeah, right? They all say boy, yeah. So all of my groups start that way. It starts with the no letters, phonemic awareness, but it's maybe 3 or 4 words. It's quick to get us in and get us out, and sort of to help us transition and get us ready for the small group. Right here is where I spend most of my time in the word work activities. When I think of word work, I always think of it as like kneading bread. You know, we take the sounds and the letters and we put them together and we pull them apart and then we pull them together again. So this is, like I said, this is where a lot of my focus is with the kids, but depending on where they are, obviously will then depend on the activity. What I'll be showing you is we'll start with my highest needs kids, and then you'll see how the activities change as their knowledge base changes. This first group of kids, these are my my pre-readers, and they are very much English is their second language. They're very strong in their language, but they're still working very hard and very well at acquiring our language. But they're at the beginning of the year, they really had very, very little English. So I just really had to just introduce them to the letters themselves. All right, you ready to work?
Yeah.
Ready to work? Great. I'm going to say a letter sound, and I want you to find that letter and I want you to pull it down. All right, first sound. Find for me the letter that says B. B. Look at you all. All right, put it back. Quite good. Now find for me the letter that says Oh, that was quick. Nice, put it back. How about the letter that says Ah? Oh, I see lots of octopuses. Just amazing. Okay, put that one back. Now let's try something different. Find for me the letter that would start this word. This is a picture of a dog. Yes, find for me the letter that start. Really good. Really good. ¿Cómo se dice en español? Okay, put that one back. Last one. You guys just... All right, so as you can see, they are just learning their grapheme phoneme correspondence. So then we can go from identifying the graphemes themselves, and now we're going to focus more on the sound and the phoneme. Give me the sound. Excellent. What's the sound? Fabulous. Amazing. Wow, good. Ooh, 2 letters that say, just so sway, say. That first little guy, when I tell you he just moved here, like he just moved here. He had no English, and he came running into, this was last year's kids. He came running into my classroom today with a big story to tell me. There's just no better job in the world. So now we go from identifying, and now they're going to start to manipulate them. And you can see the progressions that they're making. All right, ready? Put these words together for me. Sit. I want to hear. Sit. Keep it up. Sit. Amazing. Now we're going to make sit. Say. All right. Sorry. Sat. I heard you. It was quite good. Now let's make sat. Say.
Bat.
Come on. Should I make it harder? Yeah, you ready? You ready?
Back.
What? I didn't even get the card down yet. What does that say?
Back.
Just Brian, what does that say?
Back.
Amazing. They are amazing. Continuous blend, if you don't do it, it's something that really, really helps as opposed to, I'm a tapper. We need to tap. Tap helps with writing, but continuous blend is if you stretch, well, I'll just show it. I'll show it. That's so much easier. All right, Enzo, you have been doing an amazing job with this, so you're here to help them, okay? When we read, right? You with me, Josue? We're not going to look at every letter. We're not going to say f, I want you to put your first two letters together like this. And I want you to hold it and then come to the end of the word. You want to try it?
Yes.
Look down. Look here.
Fan.
Look. Try again.
Fan.
Yes, sir. You want to try it? So your first two are da, ah. So keep saying, hold that ah, and then add the last letter, right? Go ahead. Da, ah.
Dog.
I'm going to skip you because you're killing it, okay? You ready, sir?
Yeah.
So your first two are s, eh. So you're going to hold that eh, and then add the t. Ready? Try it. Sit.
Sit.
You got it. Okay. Kick it up. Kick it up. Should we kick it up? Yeah? Okay. I have words that are highlighted. What's highlighted, I want you to say first, and I want you to stretch it, right? You want to try it?
Yes.
Go ahead. Ma.
Man.
Yes, sir. You want to try? Go ahead, Lovey.
Pen.
Okay, kiddo. Watch. Your lips are together, so you have a line with your lips. Good. So, ba.
Bop.
Like Kids Bop. You want a harder one? So continuous blending is essentially they read the first two sounds, they put it together, and then they stretch it out to add the end on, and it's incredible how much it helps them. So that was my pre-emergent kids, and now the next couple of videos are kids who are on grade or maybe like just a little bit below, but you'll see the difference now in the level of decoding and encoding that they're going to do. And I'll show you quickly all the different types of word activities that I do to get that whole kneading of the bread thing that I was talking about with the blending and the segmenting and the good stuff. You ready?
Yes. Yes.
Tap it, map it, write it. First word, chat.
Chat.
One more time. Tap that for me again, Ben.
At.
Slow down.
At.
Good. Thank you. Every box is a.
Sound.
Good. Hey, you hear me?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Sound.
Made by two letters. Good. Nice gluing, Gianna. Fabulous. Swipe.
Are we gonna do any?
So those are magnetic counter wands. Highly recommend. The children love them. Amazon. This is the longest video that I'm going to show. I try to just give you quick hits so you can see as much as you can. And you know, one of the things that I absolutely love about my job now is with the direction instruction is tell them, right? Like we can't just wait to pull it out of them. Like if they're struggling, tell them and help them, which is, you know, different from the original philosophies, which I totally believe in, but you'll see lots of productive struggle in this video. Like I said, it's a little bit longer, but it's just so worth it when you see what these kids do. Ready to write some?
Yes.
These are all floss words, okay? Every box is a,
Sound.
every box is a,
Sound.
Izake, just you. Every box is a,
Sound.
good, you don't need your marker yet. We're going to push the sounds, okay? Say the word after me. Say boss.
Boss.
Now push.
This is for the picture. This is for writing.
Now go ahead and write it in the box.
Put the picture here.
Remember what sound is in each Play-Doh, right? Ba.
Oh, that's a squiggly line.
Want some crayons?
Nice. I see that mouth. Izake, I want you to press the Play-Doh for me one more time for boss. Start left to right.
I'm confused here.
Nope. Nope. Press it like you did the first time. Ba. Don't erase yet, bud. You're not ready. Ba. Ba. Ah. S. Both of you, put your finger under the very first sound.
Right now you have bats.
Izake, put the marker down. Put your finger under the first sound.
Write more.
Good. Put it on the Play-Doh.
R. or
Push it again.
like
What is it?
Bats. You can write about bats.
What sound? What letter do you have for ba?
B.
Is that right?
Alright? So
Yes.
bats are
That's right. Good. We're gonna move on.
big,
Go to the next sound. Ba.
scary,
Ah.
or
What sound did you write for? Stay with me, babe. What sound did you write? Stay with me. Go back to ah.
if you want to, go for it.
What sound did you write for ah? What letter did you write for the sound of ah?
O.
Is that right? Nope. You went ahead. Go back to the second sound.
Is that on heart?
Is that right? Okay. Now jump to the next sound. Nope.
Or just
Ba.
the letters?
Ah.
S.
You skipped a box, honey. What sound should be there, Izake?
S.
Good. What sound should be there, bud?
S.
Who's this? This. Your brother? Or your mother or your brother?
Very close. Every box. Don't erase, honey. Every box is a.
Sound.
Every box is a.
Sound.
These are floss words. It's a one-syllable short vowel word that ends in S. What do we have to do to the S at the end of the word if it's a floss sound?
Oh.
Every box is a.
Sound.
You better be proud of yourself. I see that proud face. That was really good. Spell floss for me.
Wait, you know how to make the letter?
Sorry. Spell boss for me.
Boss.
Look, go ahead, go ahead.
B-O-S-S.
I'm sorry, B-O.
S.
I'm sorry, B-O.
S.
B-O.
S. S.
All right. Does that make everybody else? That's first grade. If you're going to teach the floss sound, you might as well teach the floss dance. Every time my kids spell a floss word, they have to floss it. And one other, like, it's just so silly that but the little guy went from the bottom up. 10 times out of 10, well, 9 times out of 10, I would correct that and make them do it from the top, but they had to have been exhausted. So I gave him that gift that one day. All right,
I'm gonna interrupt you right now. So I was actually gonna, I was
again,
gonna ask about that handwriting correction. But I'll let that slide now that you've explained yourself.
I really never do.
But we do have a question. I think this Sarah has a question in the chat about the pre-alphabetic kiddos. And I think going back to what so she's curious if they're getting the same double dose of the lesson you gave in whole group, or
Yes.
and so they're on the same sequence that everybody else is.
Correct.
You're just doing
Yes.
the double dose.
Yes. Yes. And they also, they go with an ESL teacher, but when I do my whole group phonics lessons, they are there.
They're there for those. Okay, that's
Yes.
really helpful.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Here's a couple more word work activities. I say, you pop, you write.
You say, I pop, I write.
Amazing. First word, let's do stick.
Stick.
Say it, pop it.
Oh wow.
Nice. Why did you put a CK at the end? So poppets, they love poppets. And I said earlier that everything really is data driven. I did a project monitor. You ready to write some words with me? They were missing their double O's. I don't know why you're so smiley, but I love it. Okay. All of these words will have two letters that stay the same. We write them the same, but they have a different sound. I think you'll see what I mean. First word, say it after me, cook.
Cook.
Right, cook. Enzo, say cook.
Cook.
Good. All right, nice. And you all have eyeballs that say what? Like.
Football.
There's a bird behind me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, full disclosure. I only showed this video. I have a bird feeder on my window that's behind me when I do small groups. And I tell the kids, if you see a bird, you can't scream bird because the birds will go away and it would be bedlam. So if they see a bird, they have to just very quietly do what Ben just did. I just wanted to show that. Okay. We have a quick phonemic awareness. We do word work in all different ways. And every kid has to read a text. And text could range from, again, depending where they are. With my pre-emergence, it could be a word. It was a letter initially, all the way to authentic, uncontrolled, like Henry and Mudge. So some of my kids, most of the kids by the end of first grade will be out of decodables, but they can still work in a small group with me. So I'll just run through some of these quick, very mindful of the time and how exhausted and how it's probably time for a glass of wine for everybody. So I'll get this party going. Oh, this is my favorite video I've ever made in my whole life. You are literally about to see a child who read his very first word ever, and he knows it. And if you don't cry, I don't know how to finish that. If you don't cry, cry for the next one. All right, one letter at a time. What does you say? Good. Start at the beginning. Yes, say that louder. Run. See if you're right. So there's decodable text, and I will also, with decodables, we try to read them at least 3 times. Some of me, some of them, but we do a lot of rereading in the group. And the little guy with the red on his shirt, his name is Isake. I want you to notice him now, and then I'll show you him after we've done a couple of rereads. So now, oh, sorry. So nicely done. You have highlighted your floss words, correct? Nice mustache. Take that down. Thank you. You've highlighted your floss words?
Yeah.
All right, that means we are ready to read. Would you like your reading fingers?
Yes. Yes.
Do you want your real reading fingers or your
Yes.
scary reading fingers?
It's scary.
Got it. What color?
Scary. I want black. I want blue.
Do I have blue? Here's your choices. Green, light green, orange.
Black.
There you go. Okay. We're going to do it together, friends, right? So reading finger,
Up. Up.
reading finger,
Up.
reading finger.
Up.
Now reading finger goes down.
Down.
Good. Start at the title.
Jill.
Jill gets a hit. Really good. Wait, okay, you ready, Azake? Jill and Bill wish to toss the ball. great. Okay, now we've spent a little time on it and this is maybe 6 minutes later and here he is. You got your creepy reading fingers on?
Yes.
All right. You ready to use your voice to read it like it's a story? Fantastic. All right. Creepy reading fingers up. Creepy reading fingers down. Go ahead, start together. Jill.
Jill and Bill wish to toss the ball. The ball hit Bill on the shin. Then Bill fell. Did he yell?
Read that sentence again with a question in your voice.
Yes.
1 second, Isaac. Okay, go back to did Bill yell? There's a question mark. Read it again.
Did Bill yell?
So good.
Yes.
So fluency is never my goal I shouldn't say, I don't necessarily have a fluency group. I don't pull kids just for fluency, but they're with me and they're always reading. Like I said, like these two little ones are reading a Scholastic book. So it's not a decodable book, but since I have them in front of me, I will always work with fluency with them. That's what I just did with those two little guys. We go back and we'll use our voice like these two. All right, Caitlin, read that page for me.
Bats are the only mammals that can fly. Bats swim. Look like hands with skins
Stretched.
between the long fingers.
Good. Okay, now, Kate, now I'm going to read, and I'm going to use my voice to help talk about bats. Listen, and then you can do it just like me. You ready? Okay, so bats are the only mammals that can fly. Try just that sentence for me, just like that.
Bats are the only mammals that can fly.
So good. Ladies, look at each other. Give each other a looking good cheer, and we're going to move on.
Looking good.
Virginia, I'm gonna pause because we have a couple of questions I want to make sure we get to
Perfect.
before we're done. And there's a comment that was too cute. I would generally agree.
I love that.
So a couple of questions. One about progress monitoring with UFly, right? Like mastery is not expected with those like weekly, check-ins or assessments. So when do you expect mastery is a question from Sarah. Or do you, how does that sort of like that like understanding of mastery sort of factor into your practice?
It's actually a really good question, and the question differs with every kid. And this is what I was saying before. No one knows our students better than we know our students. So there's certain kids that I truly do believe that they will master it the first time it's introduced. But then there's other kids that I know will need more. So it just depends on the kids. But I mean, I think by the end of the year, they really will have mastery to the foundational. I mean, they do. They will have the mastery to the foundational skills, unless, again, with some of my, my MLL kids, they still, towards the end of the year, they still might not have it, but pretty much they'll leave with the 42 phonemes.
Got it. That's helpful. One really just like very practical question. What was the name of the trays that you were using with the floss words?
Oh, I meant to mention it actually. It's just on Amazon and it's just a paint tray.
The paint tray. Okay, I'll Google that in a second and drop that.
I should have put that in there for you.
No, that's great. It's a good question. And then I actually was wondering the same thing. And then one last question just about for older grades. I know you're a first grade teacher for life here, but for older grades, would you recommend like fluency groups, like exclusively small groups focused just on fluency for?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And you would suggest that starting in like second, third, fourth, like where would that?
Second, I really,
once they get out of first.
the end, it's really fluency because they have the foundational piece. So as we're leaving first grade, we're spending more time on fluency than anything else. But I'm still, if there's still some kids who are still struggling with any phonics, then I never leave that with them. And, you know, there are some kids that leave me still in decodables that just aren't ready for, you know, non-controlled text yet. So it's very kid dependent.
All right, and time check, we're at 7:52 East Coast time, so,
Yeah, there's just two more I'm going to show. One, I know it's your favorite. So I have a bunch of different fluency videos, but it's just different ways we handle fluency. But I will also, again, at the end of the year with my higher kids, as we're getting into the, you know, the trouble with getting out of decodables is the subject matter can go up as well. And sometimes that gets more tricky for the kids than actually decoding. It's more the understanding of the content. So I will then start to bring vocabulary in more like book groups. And this crew, I was just doing a quick vocabulary check to start our book. Okay, so there's not too many words in this book that I thought you may not know. These were the two that I found. The first word is muck. Muck is a noun, and it's another word for, do you know, Charlie?
Yeah.
What?
It's like mud.
It's not like mud. It's mud. All right. The other one, I feel like you might know this word already, but I just want to make sure. The other word is fin. And it's talking about... Bingo. All right. I believe we know what a fin is. Fantastic. Two more videos. We talked about routines, and Katie, you had asked me earlier how many I do and that I transition. So even the transition does not involve me. And I'll show you. This is how they transition from one center to the next. Now, again, they put their centers back. A child takes down the cards, hands the cards back out, but they have to get everything cleaned up. And this is how they clean up so quickly. So it's the 90-second dance button, and they have 90 seconds to put everything away, get their recording sheet, and get back on the carpet. It works like a charm. So I wanted to give Enzo the last word. So you'll remember Enzo. He was the little guy that read the word run. He was also in the very first video where he didn't speak much English, and he was pulling down the letter from the alphabet arc. So that was Enzo in September, and this was Enzo last May. First. You ready?
Yeah.
Are you? I know you are.
And Liz and Max.
Stretch it. Sit.
In the sun. It's so hot, but they have so much fun. The kids want to pick up lots of shells too.
You're amazing. Can I have a thumbs up? That is a thumbs up. Amazing. And that's what we do, folks.
Oh, Virginia, thank you so much for getting us inside your classroom. That was incredible, and just incredibly generous and vulnerable.
Oh,
So
thank you.
thank you. We have a couple more questions. Understand people need to pop off, but also feel free to stick around, and also we should have said this at the beginning, but if folks have answers to some of the questions in the chat, like they should also feel free to chime in. There's a really, really good one about spelling. really geared towards kids in older grades who are proficient decoders but are still struggling with spelling. And I know, Virginia, that's not necessarily like third grade, you know, those kids are scary big. But I'd be curious for your thoughts, and other folks should also feel free to chime in either in the chat.
So tell me, what is the question?
Oh, sorry. For what do you do for kids who are good decoders but really struggle with spelling? And particularly
No,
older.
it's just, it's sort of the same neural pathway. I just still keep with the word work.
Yeah,
Like
you
it's
keep them writing.
a decoding issue, yeah.
Yeah, if other folks have thoughts about that, weigh in. That's a very common.
Yeah.
That's something I've talked to so many teachers about, and I've never that's always the answer I had to give. But I always
No,
wonder
and
if
it's
there's
a
something.
frustrating one. It really
Yeah.
is a frustrating one, but you know, it's like one is breathing in and the other is breathing out.
Understood. And then I think this is the last question. Do you use the fluency assessments from UFI at the end of the units?
I actually have not yet. That's on my list of things to get cooking with, but I will. I absolutely will. And I'm
Awesome.
first, so my plan was to do it mid-year anyway, because with first it really should be mid-year. So, but yes, I will be.
Thank you for that. So just before folks go, we're gonna have another one of these in 2 weeks. I think we're gonna hear from Virginia again, but we're also gonna be hearing from Laura Stam, who's on this call, who's a second grade teacher, and from Caitlin Lucas, who's a kindergarten teacher, and it's gonna be all about writing. So please feel free to come on back, invite your friends. It's gonna be a very similar format. I'd love to get this to a point too where Virginia, or where the teachers who are presenting are answering questions, are of course answering questions interrupted by me, so very rudely, but also people in the chat. Like let's keep it. Let's just keep sharing knowledge and sharing classrooms and sharing ideas and learning from each other. But this was awesome. Virginia, any last thoughts before we send these lovely people home? And and I'm going to drop the registration link in the chat for the writing session. So
Oh, good question.
you chat away.
No, honestly, just, I say this every time I host an event, you will find no more dedicated people in this world than teachers. Here it is, at night, and we never stop perfecting our craft for our students. So mad respect, but like I said, you all have my email, and if there's anything else I can ever do, there's just nothing more important than getting kids to read it. It's the gateway to everything for them. So thanks for your time. I appreciate y'all.
And Virginia, actually, I don't think I have the writing registration link. Can you pull that?
I can. Yeah, if you guys want to give me a sec.
Yeah. Just give her a second. And if not, we'll send it out with a follow-up. We'll also send out a video, a recording. We did record this. I think at some point we may take that video down just because these are Virginia students and we
Right.
don't want this to perhaps live forever on her YouTube channel. But we'll
Just
leave it up for a number of months.
don't sign up for the Thursday. That's
Yeah, we're deleting the
registration is
Thursday.
low, so I'm actually gonna, and some of you all, I appreciate your willingness to come tonight.
Yeah, we realized one a week is good, and the signups for the Thursday ones were very low.
All right.
Virginia, I just wanted to say thank you. Can you
Oh,
hear me?
thank you. You know I'm such a fan of yours.
Oh, I'm a fan of yours too. I think it's just awesome that you are letting everyone kind of tour your classroom and see just all your routines, and you can just tell they're so used to it, and you're just so encouraging. So yeah, I really appreciate it. I
Well,
did have a
thank you,
quick
Mike.
question though. Like, I know you're watching your kids as you teach your whole group instruction, and generally how did you what helped you the most to get into like the rhythm of finding which kids you wanted to pull first? Like, was it, I mean, I think you're just amazing. You can just kind of just respond and know, but how did you like what helped you to get that going? Because I feel like I'm helping a lot of teachers with this, and it's tricky,
know-
like to change the whole rotations, that whole model of everyone gets the same, transitioning to getting everyone what they need. Like, how do you usually, what would you
I mean,
say?
really, I cannot say enough good things about UFly. And whoever invented whiteboards, I would like to personally thank them. But it's, everything that I'm saying, they're writing it right in front of me.
Mhm.
So if I'm saying a letter sound and they're not, with the auditory drill, if they're not able to write it, then I know that those are my kids. And also, the question before about the kids who are still struggling, their writing tells me everything also. And I have them come in and do quick writes for me in the morning. And it's just, I still have some kids who are not using vowels, and I will definitely grab them. So it's really so much of the UFly and watching them closely. And, the thing is too, it's not like I have to pick from 20, right? Because 14 of them are right where I need them to be. So I'm really just focusing on the 6.
They probably sit,
It's
you
not
have
this
them
broad
sit
thing
close.
that I'm looking for. I know who needs me the most, and that's really where my eyes are going the most, so that I know to help them.
Perfect.
But it really, and again, I always like get sort of sweaty when I kind of say that everything is not data that's on an Excel spreadsheet, but it's really just not. Sometimes it is. I'm doing my screening, I'm doing dibbles this week. So that'll, help me form groups, but the problem is within 3 lessons, then that information is already outdated. As soon as I teach like 1 or 2 things, then, that doesn't really apply. So with just whoever needs me the most gets me the most is what keeps everything like really just rolling. But it's usually the same group of kids. Like I remember I was at a workshop once and somebody was saying how they were talking about skills group, and they're like, on this day you might pull kids who need digraphs, and then the next day you're going to pull the kids who need silent E. It's usually the same kid because it's a foundational issue. So, it's usually the same kids.
Okay, that's really helpful. And then you just use the word list from UFly, those lessons, and just
I-
pull those to
I
work in
do. I
your
also,
parts.
Heggerty has great word lists. I am a believer in letters. Letters are important when it comes to it. So I'll use my Heggerty book for word lists as well.
So, oh, thank you.
Yeah,
So good. This is such a cool thing you're doing. Nice
you're so
work.
cool. You're so cool. All right, bye.
All right, any last questions for Virginia before we let her go to bed? I know she has an early bedtime. I do too, so I don't know why I'm making fun of you.
Yeah, you got baby.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks. Oh, Lindsay, I just saw you came on. That's so sweet of you. Hi.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. We hope to see you in a couple of weeks. And have a great night, and reach out if you have questions about any of this.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to stop the record.
Thank you.